Hi everyone, Quiveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look towards the end of the month of February to catch the Parade of Planets. Just a year ago, we had a Parade of Planets which was better than the Parade of Planets we're getting at the end of February. What is a Parade of Planets? It's just when there are multiple planets visible to the naked eye in the sky, or when there are multiple planets in the sky. Generally, the Parade of Planets doesn't limit itself to what's visible to the naked eye. Those of you who are regular viewers of my channel will know that Uranus is up around here somewhere. Uranus doesn't move around the sun particularly quickly, so it can't have strayed too far from the Pleiades. Neptune was quite close to Saturn last year. Saturn moves around the sun significantly faster than Neptune, but also not that fast. It takes over 20 years, almost 30 years, for Saturn to make one full orbit around the sun, so Neptune can't be too far away. If we get rid of the atmosphere, well, there we go. There is Uranus quite close to the Pleiades as expected. Zooming in near to Saturn, and there we go, there is Neptune. Both Neptune and Saturn are moving around the sun in the same direction, but Saturn is moving a little bit faster than Neptune. We may be able to see that. Well, we don't want things jumping around the sky too much, but here we go. We can see Saturn is definitely moving faster than Neptune here. So we can see both of those planets are quite close together in the sky, and we do want to move quite late in the month to get a couple of other planets, and there we go, there is Mercury on the 23rd. We'll bring back the atmosphere because we are now looking later in the month of February, so the sunset is going to be later as well, and that does bring a fair bit of light back into the sky, but we can still see Mercury. Just those planets wouldn't quite be enough for a parade, although we do have now most of the planets in our solar system above the horizon. Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, somewhere up here, and Jupiter. Although they will be difficult to all see at the same time, simply because most of the planets are going to be quite close to the sunset, and there, inconveniently behind a bush, is Venus. And when Venus is high enough to actually be visible to the naked eye, it looks like Mercury is going to be quite tricky to catch. But here we go. Venus, Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter. The only planet visible to the naked eye that's missing is Mars, and both of the planets that aren't visible to the naked eye, Uranus and Neptune, are out there as well. The only planet that we're missing is Mars. Mars, unfortunately, isn't going to come into the evening sky. If we come back to daytime and remove the atmosphere here, there's Mars on its way to becoming visible in morning time. However, if we come around to morning, you may already be able to tell Mars is pretty much level with the sun as it rises. So it will be quite a while before we get Mars back into the morning sky, and it will be joined by Mercury. We can see here a little bit later into March. But the sun is still sending that glow above the horizon while Mars is at the horizon, meaning it's probably not going to be visible for us here in Ireland. Due to the angle at which we're seeing the planets, they're going to be a little bit tough to see. Catching Venus and Mercury at sunset in particular is going to be a little bit tricky. It's much easier from closer to the equator. So this particular parade of planets is going to be quite difficult to catch from here in Ireland. It will certainly be difficult to catch Venus, Mercury, and Saturn together as the sun is going down. We can see that Venus is quite close to the horizon, just as the sky gets dark enough for Mercury and Saturn to become visible at all. But this is partly down to the angle at which we're seeing them, and of course, because of these bushes and trees. So for this parade of planets, much like the last parade of planets, I would encourage you to go to the coastline. We're going to go with a zero horizon here, which puts the horizon completely flat the whole way around, but we really only need a flat horizon horizon towards the west. So if you're looking west over the ocean off of the western coast of Europe or the western coast of North America, any western coast really, then you're going to have a much better chance of seeing those planets. We don't really have to worry about a clear eastern horizon just because Jupiter is so high in the sky by the time the sun goes down, particularly once we're a little bit later in February. So here we go. This is February 25th. I do believe the 28th is the date being given in many locations for the Parade of Planets, and if we move forward to the 28th there, we can see Mercury is getting a little bit lower in the sky, which will make it harder, while Venus is getting higher in the sky, making it easier. A nice close conjunction there between Venus and Saturn once we get into March. Mercury and Venus don't get particularly close together, but if we go earlier in the month of February, and here we are, even coming back to the 20th, Mercury is significantly further from the Sun. Mercury's greatest elongation is roughly on the 19th of February this year, and Mercury is the tough one. Venus is very, very bright. We can see here that Venus, with the extinction of the atmosphere, is almost as bright as Mercury, significantly higher with less extinction. Let's double check the numbers. So we're seeing Mercury here at negative 0.3, extincted to 0.6. Still brighter than most stars. Venus, significantly lower in the sky. It should be negative 3.90, but it's getting reduced to 0.02. So Venus here is a little bit fainter, thanks entirely to the extinction of the atmosphere. And we can see as we move through a few days, Venus quickly outpaces Mercury, coming up there to negative 2, while Mercury is reduced to 2, meaning that they are on opposite sides of the zero. And that means Venus is about 100 times brighter than Mercury. The magnitude scale is logarithmic, so there is a big difference between negative 2 and positive 2 on this scale. Even if they're only 4 steps of magnitude away from each other, the actual difference in brightness is significantly larger than just 4 times. But Mercury being easier to see is really more important than Venus being easy to see. Venus will stay visible and become visible much, much earlier when it's higher from the horizon. So it may be a good idea to try and catch Venus and then leave Mercury and Saturn come out. Seeing all of the planets at the same time is unfortunately going to be almost impossible. We can see Saturn, Mercury and Venus here on the 28th. Of course, Mercury's quite faint there and difficult to see, but we need to look way over to the opposite side of the sky in order to catch Jupiter. Unfortunately, without some sort of fisheye lens, we can't quite get a view of the sky that's this big. Seeing all of this would require a very large field of view. We can see our field of view here is at 111 degrees, almost 180. More or less. I know it's not 180, but it might as well be in terms of how achievable this field of view is to a human eye. So this Parade of Planets, it is going to be a tricky one for us to catch from here in Ireland unless we go to the coast. If we head down closer to the equator, roughly around here, we'll travel pretty much straight down from Ireland to about here, and that brings us a little south of the equator. We'll move back a little bit, still a little south of the equator. Now here we are a little north of the equator, pretty close to the coast of Western Africa, Northwestern Africa. We can see here that it's much, much brighter. We've gotten closer to the equator, so of course the sun is going to appear higher in the sky. Mercury, doesn't look like Mercury's visible there, so we'll probably have to come back a couple of days. That brings Mercury back into the sky. Here we are on we'll go with the 19th, the date of Mercury's greatest elongation. That also brings the moon into view, and we'll get them nice and high above the horizon, just at the right time for Saturn to be clearly visible. Here we are at around 6:45. We've got Saturn, the moon, Mercury and Venus nice and clear and visible over there in the west, and we have to look all the way up in the sky here to catch Jupiter. Because of the time of year and the fact that we're so close to the equator, Jupiter is now in the northern sky. It's pushed the whole way across to the northern sky here, and that means it's going to be tough to see Jupiter with these planets, but you can see all of these planets in the sky at the same time. You just might need a little bit of help to actually see them. And of course, we're going to need a telescope to see Uranus or Neptune. And Uranus shouldn't be too bad. Taking a look up here towards the Pleiades, if we continue zooming in, of course, it's a little bit tricky because it's so close to the zenith. We're going to have to rotate around a little bit here to get a proper view of Uranus. There it is. it would be very difficult to see Uranus with this amount of light in the sky. For Neptune, it's going to be practically impossible. So here we are zooming in on Neptune and Saturn, and we can see the lovely crescent moon there as well. Neptune here, 7.82, definitely past what we could see with the eye, and down to just 8.19 thanks to the atmospheres, plus that extra glow from the sun is going to pretty much wipe it out. So for this parade of planets, and it was true for the last parade of planets as well, it may be better to see them at different times. Here we are significantly later with Mercury and Venus below the horizon. The glow of the moon, it is only a crescent moon, so it shouldn't be too much of an interference. And although that does bring Neptune lower in the sky, meaning it's being extincted by greater air masses, there's just not as much light from the sun, and that's going to make Neptune easier to see. This is all from a city sky with light pollution. Of course, if you were in the countryside, those planets, particularly Mercury, would be a little bit easier to see. But easier, it is a relative term. It's still going to be pretty tricky. So I do hope that you get a chance to see all of the planets during the parade of planets. Of course, you'll need a telescope for Neptune and Uranus, but even if you have to rely on just the naked eye, if you get the timing right, if you get the location right, then there's a good chance you'll get to see almost all of the planets that are visible to the naked eye, just missing Mars. So we're catching Venus here. We'll go back a little bit closer to the 19th. We're just about catching Venus there as the sun goes down. The first one you should try to look at. Jupiter is going to be up all night. You have plenty of time. As Venus sinks under the horizon, Mercury and Saturn come into view, and as the sky truly gets dark, that's the time to pull out your telescope. Take a look at Neptune first before it sinks under the horizon, and we can see here in very close proximity to the moon and Saturn. So not a close conjunction, but definitely some sort of conjunction. And Jupiter and Uranus, both nice and high in the sky, so you have plenty of time to look at them. So that's the upcoming parade of planets. You have multiple days to take a look at it. It is missing Mars, and the planets are in a pretty tricky position, but if you're lucky enough to be in the right position, they should be visible, and I hope you do get the chance to see them. I also hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like it. If you enjoyed this kind of content, then please subscribe to this YouTube channel, and if you'd like to read this information, you can head to my website, queebeanscontent.ie. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here next time.